Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's a mix of science, mystery, and a little bit of creepiness. We're talking about Chernobyl, the site of one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. Now, when we think about Chernobyl, we often picture abandoned buildings and eerie landscapes. But what about the monsters that emerged from this tragic event? Yep, we're not just talking about creepy crawlies. Stick around as we explore the invisible monsters of radiation, mutated wildlife, psychological impacts, and even some fascinating folklore that's popped up over the years. First up is the invisible monster that we can't see but can definitely feel: radiation. When the reactor at Chernobyl exploded in 1986, it released a massive amount of radiation into the environment. This sneaky little monster isn't something you can dodge. It's responsible for some serious health effects, like acute radiation syndrome, where people got sick almost immediately, and longer-term health issues, including various cancers. The emotional and physical toll on the locals was immense. Just imagine feeling this constant fear of something that you can't see but know is affecting you. It's a monster lurking in the shadows, making everyone on edge. So when people talk about Chernobyl, it's not just looking at the physical site, but also how this invisible foe changed lives forever. Now, let's get a little wild and talk about mutations in nature. After the disaster, the Chernobyl exclusion zone became a weird haven for wildlife. You'd think no one would want to live near such a dangerous place, but nature is pretty resilient. But here's where it gets interesting. Scientists have observed some fascinating mutations in plants and animals. For instance, some of the trees in the area have developed oddly shaped trunks, and some flowers have taken on unusual colors. And then there are the animals. There have been reports of wolves running around, and guess what? Some of them are showing signs of mutation too. They're bigger than usual, have different coats, and even unique behaviors. This leads us to wonder, what does this mean for the ecosystem? The absence of humans has allowed nature to take over, but how has radiation impacted these creatures? It's a bittersweet reality. While nature thrives again, it's adapting in ways that are sometimes a little unsettling. The beauty and dangers of nature are too real, right here in Chernobyl. Now let's shift gears and dive into the psychological side, the monsters that haunt the mind. The Chernobyl disaster left many survivors and evacuees with deep emotional scars. Many people suffered from what researchers have coined Chernobyl Syndrome. This syndrome is a mix of PTSD and anxiety, stemming from the trauma of the explosion and the loss of their homes. Imagine having to leave everything behind: the panic, the uncertainty, and the constant worry about health impacts. Survivors live with the fear of what radiation might do to them or their children. It's a heavy burden to carry. These psychological monsters can often be scarier than anything else because they're all in your head, constantly reminding you of that life-altering event. So, while the physical site may look abandoned, the ghosts of the past are still very much alive in the memories of those who lived through it. Now, let's sprinkle in some folklore. After the disaster, various local legends popped up. Tales about strange creatures lurking in the forests and eerie sightings around the exclusion zone. One particular legend speaks of the Chernobyl monster that wanders, said to be a ghostly figure haunting the remnants of the old city. These stories reflect the fears and uncertainty people associate with nuclear disasters. Folklore often serves as a way to cope with trauma, giving voice to those fears through storytelling. It's captivating how something as scientific as a nuclear disaster can transform into mythical tales, right? As we look toward the future, Chernobyl still has its share of ongoing monsters. The exclusion zone is currently a place of scientific inquiry and nature's strange revival. However, the risks of radiation remain. Scientists are continuously studying the area, looking for ways to understand how radiation will impact wildlife in the long run and what new mutations might emerge. So, while Chernobyl might seem like a ghost town at first glance, the ongoing research and the mysteries held in that land keep the story alive. It's a complex mix of hope and caution, always reminding us of the past. To wrap it up, today we explored various monsters of Chernobyl. From radiation and its effects to the strange adaptations of nature, the psychological impacts on survivors, and even the local legends that emerged. Chernobyl is a lesson in resilience and the haunting shadows of our history. Thanks for joining me on this chilling journey through Chernobyl. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit that like button, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe for more stories like this. Tell me if you have any more Chernobyl tales or questions. Until next time, stay curious.